Our next speaker is Grandmaster Tony Morris. Tony is a 50-year practitioner and 8th degree black belt in traditional Taekwondo, and is the founder, owner, and Grandmaster of Asheville Sun Soo martial arts, recognized nationally for its high standards and innovative approach to personal development. Tony Morris believes that human development is beautiful and magical, and has dedicated his life to making the greatest positive difference for the greatest number of people. His education includes a BS in chemistry, a master's in architecture, and training certifications in the Silva method, NLP, EFT, and LP, PhD, life and business coaching and training. He's a published author, nationally recognized portrait artist, award-winning architect, innovative educator, and motivational speaker across a variety of subjects. Please give a warm welcome to Tony Morris.
Is this working? Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Sonia. So it's afternoon now. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here today. I want to second a comment that Sonia made earlier. You could be lots of different places right now, and you choose to be here. So good for you, and thank you so much. I want to talk to you today about the power and the magic of human connection. And I want to tell you two stories to support that. When I was in undergraduate school, I had a really contrasting experience as a follow-up to my high school experience, which was really fun. But I came from a family that didn't have very much money, and while I was a really good student, I was a little inconsistent, and so I didn't have the confidence to apply for scholarships. And so when I went to undergraduate school, I paid for it. And I worked while I was going to school, which meant that I had to forego most social opportunities that would be available to most people. So about halfway through that undergraduate experience, I realized that I was a little depressed, actually, and I felt isolated. And about halfway through my undergraduate degree, I found myself in a macroeconomics class one day, and the professor was handing back an exam that we had all taken, and I got mine, and I made an 85, which is about how I was doing those days. And I felt this crushing energy next to me, and I looked over, and there was this Nigerian student, and I saw over his shoulder that he made a 35. And in stillness, he had tears coming down his cheek, and he just looked devastated. And I didn't know him, but I took a chance upon exiting the room, and I introduced myself to him. And I said, "I'm sorry, but I couldn't help noticing the grade that you had on your tests. And I'd like to offer to help you." And he started bawling. And he revealed to me that he was Sam Apuru, and he was the star of the soccer team at NC State. And the soccer team was ranked in the top 10 of the country right then. And he went on to tell me that he was married, and he already had a young daughter, and he came from a very, very poor family in Nigeria. And his hope was to become a professional soccer player. That was going to be the vehicle by which he was going to deliver a great life to his family. And that hope was hinging on him keeping his scholarship so he could stay in college and perform well and get the attraction of the Pro Scouts. And so I didn't really even think about it. I said, "Well, I'll help you." And he started crying some more, and he said, "That'd be so awesome, and I'll get you paid because I'm the star of the team. And if I ask the athletic department to pay you, they'll pay you." And I needed money, and I thought that was great. So, it was we were a nice team. And so we went on to meet several times a week, and this meant that I needed to know the material more, right? So I studied it a lot, and I knew it inside out. And we had a language barrier too. He spoke English, but not that well. And so I had to get at explaining things to him in a variety of different ways, and it made me really become rigorous as a communicator. Well, moving on to the end of the semester, Sam Apuru got a B. And he had a failing grade halfway through the semester. And I got an A, because I had to dig down deeper, to really know it. And so I noticed a few things there, and I wasn't depressed anymore. I was excited. I had experienced myself as valuable. I made a contribution to somebody, made a difference, And he went on to finish out his trajectory and his dream. He finished his scholarship. He won all sorts of awards. He became a professional player in Europe. I've lost contact with him since then, but he did his thing. So fast forward to a couple years later, I eventually decided to become an architect, and I found myself in grad school back at NC State, and still working my way through school. I was working for firms in town, but I decided to make a little extra easy money, and I applied to be a paper grader TA. And my job, for not much more than minimum wage at the time, was to grade homework papers, and it was going to be really easy. So I show up on the first day of class for the instructor's one-on-one class with a bunch of freshmen. It was physics applied to buildings, which was really easy for me because I had a chemistry degree already. I knew the material. But the professor doesn't show on the first day. And I figured the guy must have a cold or something, you know. So I'm the only person of authority in the classroom, 50-something kids, and I let everybody go after about 10 minutes. Didn't think much of it. And they were happy to get out of class. And we come back to second class on Wednesday, and the professor's not there again. And so we do a replay, and I let everybody go, and I thought, well, this must be a bad cold. And I still didn't think all that much about it. I come back the third time on Friday, and the guy is not here again. And I started to get really concerned and irritated. I let everybody go again. I go down to the administrative offices, and I tell some secretary what was going on, and she said, oh yeah, he does that. And I thought, oh my God, she's being really casual about it. I said, well, I'm gonna talk to this guy, I gotta find out what's going on. She gives me a business card. And it turns out he had his own private practice, 3 blocks from campus, and he was on the faculty because he won lots of awards and made the faculty look really good on paper, and he helped to attract students like me. So I got on my bicycle at 27 and go to this guy's office, and I asked to see him. The secretary tells me that he's gonna be in meetings all the rest of the morning, and he's not gonna have time to see me, and I said, I'll wait. I took my book bag with me, and I had stuff to do. And I waited over 2 hours, and he came out and invited me in the conference room, and he asked me what he could help me with. And the hot-head in me wanted to say, well, you could come to class. But what I said instead was, I told him what was happening, and I said, is there some problem? Like, what's going on? And he said, oh, I got this big project, deadlines, and he was very casual about it, and I was incredulous. And so, in my immaturity at the time, I popped off and I said, well, these guys will be a lot better with me teaching the class than you not showing up. And he said, well, why don't you do that? And I said, well, give me paper, they're going to pay you to do it, and I'll do it. And he said, done. This was 1988. This wouldn't happen today, but it happened then. I went back to my dirty little basement apartment, the place I was living in. Later that afternoon, sure enough, I got a call from somebody in the administration. You are now the official instructor of Instructors 101. I was like, cha-ching, right? 5X what they were paying me to grade papers. But then I was the chihuahua that caught the bus, and I didn't know it. And man, it was a big ass bus. So I had the weekend to plan my first lecture, and we were already behind, so I was gonna play catch up, and I'd plan all this material, and I'd start writing equations on the board, and I'm sweating. And I tutored, and it was very successful with Sam Apudo, but it was just me and him. And there's 50-something kids, and I'm making mistakes. And I get confused, and after about 4 minutes, it was a disaster. And I turned to the students and I said, I'm so sorry, I know this is class number 4, but I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm all confused, and I promise when you come back Wednesday, I'll have a solution, but I don't know what it is right now. And they all left, and they're looking at me like, not much hope. I started thinking about the experience with Sam Apudo, and I connected to some really important things. So they come back Wednesday, and I said, okay guys, this is what's gonna happen. We got 15 minutes together. The first 10 minutes, I'm gonna teach you the lecture. That's all we need. Then, I'm gonna give you 10 minutes to ask me any questions that you might have. I'll answer those. And then, I'm gonna pair you up, and I made this matrix. And we had 44 classes left, right? We burned 4, it's 48, 3 times 16 weeks. So out of the 52 kids in class, you'll end up being partners with just about everybody in class by the time the semester's over. And you guys have 15 minutes to explain it back and forth. Last 10 minutes of the class, we're gonna give you a quiz on the subject of the day. And at the end of the semester, 80% of your grade is gonna be the average of all your quizzes. And they're all nodding along, everything's cool. And then I gave them the punchline. So the catch is, each one of your quiz grades is gonna be 80% what your partner scored, and 20% what you scored. What? You can't do that? That's not fair. That's what we're doing. So we did the thing, and the first pairing, the roof blows off the building. They were so excited. Now they were at stake because they wanted a good grade, But by the second class, third class, fourth class, energy gets higher and higher. They're giving high fives, they're laughing, they're getting to know each other. The grades on the quizzes were excellent. We get to the end of the semester, we had 48 legitimate A's out of 52 students, and the other 4 were B's. Now, commentary on our culture, the administration didn't want to accept the grades because they said, this is a public institution, we grade on bell curve. I got another professor who really was a fan of the model to go to bat for me. I ended up getting an Innovation for Education award from the governor, so that was some validation for me. But what I learned from this is that when people are connected, that magic happens. There's synergism. People feel validated. They get heard, they get seen, they get real-time validation that they make a difference, that they're important. Good things happen, it has a ripple effect, and it's an example for other people, and it amplifies. And so, I invite you all to go out into the world and connect. I'm in Asheville Sun Soo Martial Arts. If you'd like to be connected and have a great community, I invite you to come practice with us. And if you'd like for me to come to you and work with your organization on being connected and making things happen, I'd love to do this, and I have some information in the back. And thank you so much for being here today.